Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the False Line podcast. And of course, the usual four: Connor, Luke, Charlie, and myself. It's Premier League review, and we're going to look ahead, maybe through time, to the Champions League games tomorrow and Wednesday. So, starting off with the surprise result of Leeds beating City 2-1. City went down to 10 men. I'm guessing there's no debate on the red card. It's pretty clear. Like, he was pretty high on his leg. Anyone think it wasn't a red?
I think it wasn't a red personally.
Whoa!
I mean, I'm not sure what Cooper was expected to do. I mean, the ball was up in the air.
Man, he is knee height, like he is knee height. There's no need.
He wins the ball and then unfortunately follows through. I don't know what more he's expected to do. It's not really his fault that the ball is up there.
Oh, hang on.
Steve, listen, Luke does have a history of these kind of challenges, so he is
wait,
experienced.
I want to ask him a question. I think I'm going to catch him out here. Van Dijk v Napoli a couple of years ago. I think I recall you saying that's a red, Luke.
Yeah, it is, because
that is not even as bad as a challenge, like.
Because he's a Liverpool player.
Whereas Jesus, like, he just grazed Jesus, really. It's not like he came through. He just
hang on.
over his knee.
Hang on. Nah, man, that is definitely a fucking red.
I would say it's an orange. I would say it's unfortunate that he was sent off.
Yeah, hang on. I want to watch it again. Man, I think that's the red because now mostly what I've seen is I don't think I've seen. Hang on, where's the red? They went 1-0 up first today. Yeah, the red came like straight after, more or less.
Yeah, Dallas scored and then Cooper got sent off like 3 minutes after.
Oh, that's a red! That's a red! No way! He is so high up. What the fuck? You can't go with the challenge like that. You can't do that. Oh my god, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. Luke, you know me. I'm one to let challenges go like that. No way. He is in the back of his knee. That's a red.
I think if that was your local Sunday league, I think you'd see 3 or 4 of them per game.
Yeah, that's Sunday league.
It wouldn't be a red card.
Sunday league, the people playing don't even have concern for their own health because they come in and come over. So, like, you know what I mean? We don't really concern about each other's health playing Sunday league. That is different. But yeah, I think on the game itself, City, right? City did change around the formation. I'm not sure the exact team, but I know they like a few of the big players missed out. But the fact that Leeds went down to 10 men, like Charlie, like how come Leeds? I mean, City weren't able to capitalize on that because usually they do. Like usually they'd run in another 2 or 3.
Well, I think obviously the City fans were saying it was their C team, but like it still cost what I think it was like 300 million or something, that 11. Yeah. So it should be beating Leeds quite comfortably. Ake came back from injury and I didn't watch the game, but apparently he wasn't very good. He got substituted in like the 68 minutes, so that tells you what you need to know. It's quite surprising they didn't break them down, especially Leeds. They're really not great at the back, and you would say City are the best attacking team in the league for scoring goals, so it is really surprising. But their team wasn't full strength. Like I don't think De Bruyne played. They were playing Ferran Torres. Foden didn't play the full game. I'm not sure who else. I don't think Gundogan played, but I could be wrong. So, like, it's a poor result, but I don't see any bad run of form for City coming. I think they'll win the league quite comfortably, but it does just warn Guardiola that if he prioritizes the Champions League a bit too much and continues to like heavily rotate his team in the Prem, they could start dropping points, and you never know. If we win our game at hand,
stop. United aren't winning the title.
On Leeds, though, I thought the fact that the way Leeds play as well, Luke, like you'd expect them to like they didn't really change the way they played as well when they went to 10. I think they were a bit more conservative, but like you still expect City to break them down. But on Leeds, like how impressed were you that the fact that they were able to nick a winner at the end?
Yeah, I think it was a good performance from Leeds. I think we saw something from them that we haven't previously seen. I think they showed good like defensive strength to actually sit behind the ball for a little bit and actually keep a team out, which we haven't seen much of them doing. It's usually been quite an end-to-end game with Leeds games, but I think towards the end, there was part of them that wasn't settling for the draw. Like they were actually getting men forward towards the end and trying to win the game. They had a big chance with Rafinha. He tried to go around Ederson and they could have scored there. And then Dallas scored a couple of minutes later. So they probably did have the biggest opportunities in the second half actually to win the game. I don't think City created anything really. They changed the formation a couple of times. They got a few pot shots and a decent goal, to be fair. But other than that, I think Leeds actually look quite solid, which is surprising, seeing as their games usually have a lot of goals in them. So it was a different side to Leeds, and I think they're in the top half of this table now, which shows that they're doing quite well. I'm not sure if Bielsa will try to approach these big games in the same manner now, but I'd be surprised if he did, to be honest.
Yeah. I was just like, I was actually at work at the time, so I didn't really. Yeah, they are 10th. I was at work at the time, so I wasn't watching it, but I've seen like the highlights and stuff like that. I just thought like the fact that like Leeds, like you said, did create chances and they weren't really back to the wall. Like back to the walls, like you thought they'd be considered going into 10, but yeah, really impressive performance. And I think, look, if you look at them, 49 goals scored, 49 goals conceded. So that's obviously 0 goal difference, and they have 14 wins, 3 draws, and 14 losses. So that is literally the perfect like the table is like that's perfect representation of how it's been for them this season. They either get hammered or they win big, or they win big games. So I think it's a huge scalp for them. Like obviously it's not going to make a huge difference in the title race, we don't think, or what is left for a title race. So yeah, Connor, just before we move on, for on a Leeds point of view, like where like going forward for the rest of the season, like do you think they should aim for top 4? Do you think they can even finish higher? Because they're only 4 points off 7th at the moment.
Yeah, I don't like they're not going to get top 4, but I don't think they'll get Europe either. But like the way other teams are playing at the moment, especially Spurs and Arsenal, teams like that are sort of in around where they are, I don't see why they can't be aiming for like trying to get Europa League.
Yeah.
Like for them to come back into the Premier League to do as well as they've been doing, being really good to watch. And if they happen to get European football, that'd be massive for them, and it'd be really successful for Bielsa now. One thing about that match was I saw a map after the game of the average positions of the City players.
Yeah.
Every single City player, they're well, like even the centre halves, they're well into the Leeds half, but they just lack the creativity of someone like De Bruyne to break them down. And Leeds, I mean, they had their centre back and captain sent off, and they still managed to go behind, and then, or sorry, they managed to concede, but they still managed to go for it in the end. I think it shows like they are a serious club. They're not like Arsenal. They're not unserious. They're here to actually contend for Europe.
Yeah, I think just on City then, like they have a big European game midweek. That game's definitely not done. And obviously a poor domestic result, and we've seen that before down the years, where they'd have a poor domestic result before a Champions League game and they go out. So now I would be very upset if City went to the Champions League. I actually do want them to win it. You know what I mean? Because I think that'd be good for football. You know, very good. Obviously just a well down to earth club, done everything by the book. So yeah, I'd really hate for them to go to the Champions League. That would be a pity if they follow the trend. But moving on to the team that's going to win the Champions League and come fourth, Liverpool, beating Villa 2-1. I again, unfortunately, missed the game, but I was watching like as much highlights as I could find to kind of get a good kind of representation of the game. And I thought, like, fuck me, we were lucky. Like, I think Trezeguet hit the post on their goal. Like, we started really well. I thought, from what I've seen and what I've heard from other people, we started really well, controlled the game, and then it was just one of them where we just wouldn't break them down. And I felt like deja vu, a goal just before half time at home, 1-0 down. Alisson should save that, definitely. But look, it is what it is. Like, he's obviously not having the greatest season, so hopefully he can pick up his form, like especially next season when we're kind of back to full strength with Van Dijk and all. But yeah, I thought the response was decent in the second half. Like the goal, I think we did deserve that goal. I don't want to talk about VAR. I don't. I've talked enough about it. You guys, if you can, if you want. Look, I don't really care. It's not really me caring if he's offside or not. It's just the fact that like it happened with me in midweek when we were playing Madrid. Like you're stopping celebrations and stuff like that. I just think like that definitely ruins the game. And I, for one, have definitely felt that. Like on a serious note, I felt that the game just becomes boring, and it becomes less enjoyable because when you take the raw emotion out of a game, of a sport, it just becomes like, I don't know, it just becomes kind of shite. Like, but yeah, back to the game. Salah got the goal back, and then Trent responding to the haters with an absolute screamer. Thiago could have scored, which I'm a bit annoyed about. But yeah, Connor, going to you first. On the overall game, like you obviously, I'd say you were thinking the same thing as me. Like it just be one of those like deja vu, basically, of what's happened this year. 1-0 loss at home. Do you think that like the fact that we're able to come back, especially with nick the win at the end, do you think we're starting to see Liverpool get back to their best and like starting to rediscover that mentality?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say back to their best, but certainly last season when they'd scrape a win at the end.
Yeah.
It's a big confidence booster. Like it doesn't matter like how you win, like to get the points on the board in the end is what's most important. And I think they're unlucky with the VAR decision. Like I don't want to go into too much detail on it. I think the offside rule, I don't agree with it at all. But to come back into it after halftime and especially right at the end there to get the goal, like I think that will be big, especially going into this game midweek now against Real, which I mean I wouldn't say I'm confident going into this game at all, but like I have quite a bit of hope going into it that we can pull something off.
I'm 90 to 95% sure Firmino's going to bag the goal that's going to make us go through. We keep predicting Firmino. Me and Kai keep predicting
Firmino brace.
Yeah, Firmino brace. It's going to be Firmino brace.
Firmino brace 2-0 at home. We're going to go throwing away goals.
Yep, and we're understandable. We'll talk about that later, actually. But like, Charlie,
sorry, could I just say one thing? I want to congratulate United on their big win midweek as well last week.
Oh yeah,
good performance.
Huge win, huge. So Charlie, just on Villa, actually, on Villa. Just like obviously they're missing Grealish. That is a huge miss. Do you think like that performance they can just be happy with it? Obviously, it's hard, like kind of starting to lose the way they did at the end. But you think they can go ahead and just try to finish the season strong? Because they haven't been in the greatest of form recently. 1 win in their last 5.
Yeah, obviously when you lose a player like Grealish, it's always going to become more difficult. But you didn't watch the game. I thought Villa were really poor. They just didn't deserve. They didn't deserve anything out of the game. Traore was dreadful. McGinn looks out of shape, to be honest. To me, he can't move. Ross Barkley was disgraceful. He was one on one with the last defender a couple of times and just completely fucked it. Trezeguet, I mean, he came off injured. He didn't do anything. So I think their only decent attacking player was Watkins, and Douglas Luiz put in a decent shift as well. But at the back, Mings was shaky all game. Salah should have scored, but he put it wide. I think Villa, their season is sort of petering out, and it's unfortunate that they lost Grealish because they could have got into Europa League. I think they were nearly in the Champions League places at one point, so it is unfortunate, but they're going to have to become less reliant on Grealish because I wouldn't say he'll leave next season, but the season after, I'd say he'll be gone. So they need to find a way of winning without him, and at the moment they're clearly not good enough without him. They're probably a mid-table side at best. Yeah,
they're 11th at the moment. They probably didn't play as well as I thought. Obviously, they didn't catch the full game, and also when you're watching your own team, and it's like kind of a tight game. The opposition team looks like it always seems like they're playing really well when they're not. But Luke, on you, just on Villa. Again, like as you said, they're mid-table at the moment. They're 11th, like Charlie said. Again, it's just kind of like it's one of those things where it's like they're not necessarily on the beach yet, but like you just think that from now until the end of the season, it's just kind of win as many games as you can and just kind of go into next season with as much momentum, because I feel like now there's not really much to play for.
Yeah, like Charlie said, it's unfortunate they lost Grealish, but now I don't think they have a chance of even Europa League. So, like, if you were a relegation team, you'd be looking at Villa and saying, yeah, I don't mind playing them because they don't have much to play for. So you'd be hoping you could get a win against them. So I think a lot of teams would be looking at Villa as a team they'd like to be playing at the moment, because they just don't have much to play for, really.
Yeah, I think it is a pity because they were, as you said, like losing Grealish and all that. But yeah, I think they were definitely unlucky to lose, especially last minute. A great save from Martinez from Thiago, by the way. I thought that was such a good save. And obviously, Trezeguet hit the post. That looked like it was going in. But yeah, I think moving on now to Palace, Chelsea. Palace are just very, very shit. Like, they are very poor. And I think we did, I think everyone kind of gave Roy Hodgson some credit up until maybe this season. Like, he was doing a very good job. But it just seems to kind of now, like, going a little bit pear-shaped. They've been taking a few batterings. And obviously took a battering by us in December. They were 3-0 down. They were down and out before the game had barely started. The game was over. So, Connor, just firstly on Palace before we move to Chelsea. Like, do you think Hodgson, like, they should really look at like Hodgson in the summer and think maybe we should move on from him? Because a lot of Palace fans, I'm finding, are starting to turn on him. They just feel like he's the kind of dinosaur tactics, as that's the phrase usually coined when you have like an oldest manager. But do you think they will kind of look to move on from him?
Yeah, it's kind of. I think it's a bit of a tricky one. Palace, they always seem to start the season quite well and then kind of drop off at the end, and it almost becomes sort of a relegation battle at times towards the end. I mean, I think their goal really at the moment is kind of trying to get top half football at the start of the season. But I think Palace, like, if they invest properly, like, they do have good players there. I'm not saying they have fantastic players, but they do have the players, and they should be. I mean, they should be aiming to try and get top half at least every season instead of just
easy,
like we've seen when Palace are at their best, playing good football, gone on a good run. Like, they are in the European places at like sort of a November time, something like that usually, and then they just seem to drop off then. And I think, like, if you're a Palace fan, like, you get fed up because you're literally watching the same thing over and over again. And I mean, it's not like Hodgson is a new manager full of new ideas. Like, it's just going to be the same thing. So, I mean, I think he probably does need to move on, bring someone else in, because I think they need to change the way they're playing, or at least be able to sustain it for the whole season. Because, I mean, there's no point, like, being in European places and then, like, losing 10 on the bounce. Like, it's not good enough.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you're looking into like next season, they'll have their fans back. That's a tough place to go, and they usually do a good home record usually. So, like,
they're down in 13th there at the moment.
Yeah, I think looking at the team, maybe top half might be a bit of a stretch, but I think it's one of those.
I'm not saying get top half, but like, they need to be aiming for it instead of. I think at the moment what they're kind of doing is, at the start of the season, everyone's like, oh, we'll get top half. And then by the end of it, they're like, "Oh, we're glad we stayed up." Whereas Palace are better. Like, Palace are better than that.
Yeah, like, it's very kind of like we've done enough. They're not going to get relegated, but they're not going to finish like high up the table or in the European spot. So, yeah, I think they have very talented players there. I think the owner is willing to invest as well. I don't want to say that for certain because I'm not sure, but I think he seems like an owner. I think it's what's his name, Steve Parish. That might have been the old owner. Anyway, they're willing to invest. So, yeah, Charlie, just I'm going to go into Chelsea now. West Brom, that was a disappointing defeat to West Brom. Like, it was a very bad defeat to West Brom to lose 5-2 at home to West Brom last week. But they responded really well recently. Like, what you think of their performance at the weekend there against Palace?
Yeah, obviously they were impressive. I think Havertz was really good. He did miss a few chances, but his all round play was really good. He looks to be reborn under Tuchel. I think Pulisic, he wasn't in at the start, but he's coming in now, and he's doing what Lampard couldn't get out of him. So there's a load of positives. All of their players seem to be in form, apart from Werner, which says a lot about him. But either way, I think they're going to go through in the Champions League, and they're probably going to get top four. I'm going to say, because
we'll talk about the
I would
top
say
four.
so. Yeah, they'll probably get top four. So Tuchel will probably have done everything he's been asked to do for this season, and I think next season, with maybe if they buy a striker, I would say they need a centre back as well. But if they can bring those two positions in, they may be contenders for the league, because Tuchel is a great manager, and they have probably, I would say, they have the second best squad in the league at the moment in terms of depth and quality. So, like, well, unless Liverpool got Van Dijk and Gomez back, but at the moment, Chelsea's squad is superior. Definitely. So I would say they will have a decent shot at the title if they maintain the sort of form they're producing at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't want us repeating ourselves about Chelsea. We know what needs to happen in the summer. We know where they are. But Luke, Charlie just mentioned Havertz there. Do you think Havertz now should be the starting number 9 for Tuchel going into the last stage of the Champions League? I mean, it kind of is looking a bit ominous now for Werner. Like, if Havertz keeps up this form, he could lose his place, find himself on the bench. I mean, he's been given enough chances. So do you think that his time in the starting lineup is coming to an end?
I think Werner's time as a striker in Chelsea lineup, I don't see him starting up there much anymore, because I think against the deep block, I think Giroud is an excellent striker to play against the deep block. His movement and finishing is actually like top quality. He doesn't get the credit he deserves for it. So I think against deep blocks, Giroud might be played, and then against more open teams, Havertz, I think, suits Chelsea a bit better. I think he's not as mobile as Werner, but I just think he's an all-round better player. But I don't see Havertz fitting in like in the centre of midfield or in either wide position. So I think Havertz kind of has to be deployed up front, otherwise he's going to be on the bench. So, and Havertz deserves to be playing at the moment with the performances he's putting in. So I think he's going to stay up front. And I just wanted to mention something on Palace. They have a number of players out of contract in the summer. They're going to need some serious investment. We're just looking at it here. Batshuayi's going back to Chelsea. They're also losing Benteke, Schlupp, Van Aanholt, Townsend, Mohamedou Sakho, Tyreek Mitchell, Nathaniel Klein, James McCarthy, James MacArthur, Joe Ward, Gary Cahill, Wayne Hennessy, Scott Dan, Martin Kelly, Connor Wickham, and Stephen Henderson. So I'm not sure
that's their whole squad, is it not?
I don't know what they're doing, but they need some serious investment if they're letting all them go. Otherwise, they need to sort out their contracts now, because that's slightly shambolic, really. I think a lot of
I had no idea.
A lot of Palace fans should be worried about that, because they could be in real trouble next season if they go in without those players. So I'm not sure what they're at.
Peak, like that actually is peak. So we're going to move on to West Ham, Leicester. For top 4, can't be even saying that about West Ham, but they're 4th now. Lingard, man, Jesus Christ! Like, Connor, what's happened with Lingard? Man? How have they managed that? I mean, how has he managed to just come back from barely playing United, like, and just really just take off at West Ham?
Yeah, he's been in great form since he got there. I looked at that game beforehand, and I was like, I want to watch it. This should be a good game. And I literally turned it on as he scored the first goal there. Great sort of first time volley from the edge of the box. I think at United, I think the spotlight was on him a bit more, and he was under a lot more pressure, getting scrutinised after every game. Whereas at West Ham, he's kind of, the pressure's been eased off him slightly, and he's got the chance to prove himself there, I think. And I think people aren't like on his back the whole time there, like giving aid to him. And I think that's where he has shone. I mean, he
Yeah.
single-handedly really like taking West Ham into Europe, if we're honest. So he got the 2 goals, and then he did most of the work then for the third goal. I know Soucek got the assist to Bowen, but that was mostly Lingard's work. So I mean, I think he's been one of the I think he's almost had a Bruno Fernandes effect on West Ham.
Yeah.
Just
definitely. Yeah.
It's not much else to say. I mean, they did go 3-0 up, and then they were a bit shaky and conceded 2 there.
Yeah.
But I mean, West Ham, like, they are looking strong. Like, I think they do have an outside chance of getting Champions League. Be tough though.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
it could get into the last day.
Judging by their fixtures as well, guys, they've got decent fixtures. Yeah, I thought they were very good. I think the more focus I want to focus on, the team I want to focus on. Actually, quick mention, they're doing very well without Declan Rice. Well, I thought they were going to drop off, but they're doing very well. The focus really I want to look at is Leicester. Charlie, judging by their fixtures, we're only 4 points off them, and we're in 6th. Are they going to bottle top 4 again?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. This is classic Brendan Rodgers and classic Leicester, really. It's unfortunate, but it is. I mean, Rodgers is just, when it comes to the Premier League, he's kind of a serial bottler, if we're being honest. You saw what happened with Liverpool, and you saw what happened last season and the season before. They were comfortable in top 4, and then they just petered out again. And it seems to be the case this time. I think Perez, Maddison and Chowdhury were at some party, so they got dropped from the squad completely, which obviously that's not good for them. Maddison is probably their best player, I would say. So that was a big loss for them. Obviously he couldn't play, but he's been out injured, so I don't think he would have played the full game. Vardy's not in good form at all. He's only got 6 open play goals this season. The rest have been penalties. Obviously that's a big decline from the seasons before, and I think that Iheanacho is kind of carrying them at the moment, for being honest. He got 2 yesterday as well. He's got to be near double digits now, having played very little minutes. So it's impressive form by Iheanacho, but unfortunately no one else seems to be in form. So he's kind of putting the team on his back, and it's still not getting them results. I think on West Ham, they've led the last 3 games 3-0, and they've come very close to bottling it. 3-3 with Arsenal, and then 3-2 in the last 2. That's not good enough. They need to be 3-0 up. They need to be seeing games out better than that. And we're saying they could get Champions League. Well, if they do get Champions League, they'll get slaughtered next season if they keep that up. And also, it would give me confidence if I was behind them that they're not serious. They'll drop off eventually. You can't be letting teams into the game that easily 3 times in a row. You think you'd be learning from your mistake. Well, they're clearly not. They're clearly doing the same things over and over. And Craig Dawson and Diop at the back. I mean, I'll never forget West Ham asked us for 50 million plus Martial for Diop, and the guys, he played a wonder pass over the top to Bowen, but he's not a good defender. And Dawson, he's good from corners, but I wouldn't trust him defensively either. So I think, while their form is good, I think they will drop out of the top 4 eventually. But if they do get top 4, credit to Moyes, because he probably deserves it after the tough past few jobs he's had.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that kind of trait of letting teams back into could damage them down the line. Just before we move on to the next game, Luke. I just want to go back to them shortly. If they manage to battle top 4, does Rodgers fear for his job? Because that is back-to-back times they've had a good lead on the team that outside top 4 and they've bottled it.
I don't think Rodgers should be fearing for his job, because if you look on paper, are Leicester one of the top 4 teams in the league? I'd probably put them 5th or 6th in terms of depth. But if you just look at the positions, the position they're in and the position they were in last season, I mean, you can't really be bottling that. But on the other hand, could say Rodgers has done a great job to get them into those positions in the first place.
Yeah.
I think some of the players have to look at themselves. I think Madison, Chowdhury and Perez really let the club down there. That's ridiculous, and they deserve hefty fines. But like Leicester will have it in their own hands. They have big games coming against Liverpool or against United, Chelsea, and I think they might.
Right, sorry to cut you off there, Luke. I'm just going back on the point that Charlie and Luke made there about the lads breaking the COVID restrictions. Like, that game was like possibly one of Leicester's biggest games this season. And for those three to be missing, especially Madison being your star player, like, that's not good. Like, they're 2 points away from being out of the top four. Like, that is not acceptable at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, Luke, what were you saying about Leicester there?
They have like you were talking about the tough games coming up. Just to round it off, so we're moving on to the next game. Luke, you were mentioning the games. I think that's City to play still. I'm just going to double check the games. I don't want to look like a fucking idiot. They have the likes of the Southampton away. They've United. Oh, sorry, they don't have City. United, Chelsea, Tottenham. Last 3 games. Luke, do you think they can hold their nerve here? As you said, it's in their hands. With the team, the form that the other 3 are in, like including us in the Premier League, you think that they might fall out?
Well, it's a tough one, because if you look at the City game, they could be focusing on Champions League, so they might not put out a strong team.
Well, they're not playing City. They're not playing City.
But be looking at winning that one if City put out an understrength team, and but they have to be like the Southampton and the easier games. They have to be picking up some form and winning those ones, because otherwise they don't stand a chance. They need to be looking at getting results out of those last 3 games, because if they lose all of them, they're not going to make Champions League.
Yeah, sorry, just to say, they played City a few weeks ago. They're not playing City, but I think it's the same. United, like United, could be focused on Europa League, and second place could be wrapped up. And as you said, they're going to have to look to get points off them. I think top 4 could potentially come down to the Chelsea-Leicester game second half of the season. It's definitely like the top 4 race. Just before we move on to Spurs United, right? So United and City are guaranteed. Right, I'm going to go first. I'm saying Chelsea 3rd, and I'm saying Liverpool 4th. Connor, what do you think?
I think it's going to be City, United, probably. Do you know what? I'm going to back Liverpool for 3rd. And then I'm going to say the last place is going to be between Chelsea and West Ham. And I think Chelsea will just nick it. But I reckon it could be either of them. But we're definitely getting 3rd. And before we move on to Charlie and Luke, if you say United are first, I'm literally leaving the meeting.
Oh, yeah, I said City first. Yes, sorry. Charlie.
City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. I would go.
Luke.
I'd be the same as that.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to the United Spurs game. Big win for United, going 1-0. To be honest, the first thing I want to talk about is the disallowed goal. The game is just so finished. Like, what in God's name? Like, you have to think about it this way, right? McTominay is 6'4", or just about, yeah? Son is not even 6 foot, I don't think. When he swings back his arm like that, usually you'd hit someone's chest, right? If he was going to do that to Fabinho, he's hitting his chest. But the fact that Son's so low down and lower than him, he's always going to hit his face, and it's so accidental. I'm like, and minimal contact as well. Like, that is just not a foul. It's just not a foul. Actually, it's stuff, but it didn't matter in the end. Obviously, Son got his goal. Charlie, I want to talk to you about the defending on the Tottenham's goal. Now, Aaron Bissaka, I just want to kind of ask, does he know what he's doing half the time? Because I've never seen worse positioning for a goal. I've seen people defend him saying he has to go to Kane there, but he didn't even run back as soon as Kane laid it off. Like, what do you think? Like, Wan Bissaka's positioning is worrying. It's very worrying for United.
Yeah, on Wan-Bissaka, I think the only thing he's good at is 1v1 defending. I think his positioning is awful from like back post crossing and crossing in general. And I think his attacking it's disgraceful for someone who used to be a winger. If we're being, I mean, it's pretty obvious to see why he didn't make it as a winger. The guy can't take anyone on. His passing is so limited. I don't think I've ever seen him play a ball up in the air. He plays people into trouble. Like if there's nothing on, he seems to just twat it at McTominay or Fred and hope they can kick it round the corner or something. I don't like him as a player. I've said this before. I don't think he's good enough. I think I don't rate Dalot, but I think he's better than him. And Dalot isn't very good at all. But I'd rather see Dalot in the team because Wan-Bissaka just he boils my blood when I watch him. It's so frustrating. It's ridiculous how bad he is on the ball, and also on Lindelof is really poor for the goal. I mean, this is the problem with United. Their players build you up. I was thinking, oh yeah, Lindelof, he's a great player now. He's been great for the past. They build you up and then they just fucking let you down with a shocking piece of defending. And Maguire, he's not covering either because he has no pace. I wonder when we figure that out. But he has no pace, so there's no cover, and it's a goal. I don't know what Lindelof is doing. Like he was been playing great, and then he's at fault for the who scored? He's at fault for the Welbeck goal. So it's Wan-Bissaka. Yeah. He's at fault for that goal. So it's Wan-Bissaka, and you're just there like this is the problem with our team. And I think also I'd like to mention like the big games. I don't think we can play through Bruno Fernandes. I think it's been proven now because, like, what's he done? He's done nothing, and it's so frustrating. People say, okay, he's being creative, but it comes a point where it's detrimental to the side. He's just getting the ball and booting it away, and I think we saw like against City, we couldn't play through Bruno. We played through Martial. Against Tottenham, we couldn't play through Bruno, so we played through Pogba. And they're our best two players, in my opinion. Like, you give them the ball, they keep it. They do great things with it. And then people are just say, oh yeah, but Bruno and Rashford get all the goals. Yeah, they do, because against the little shitty teams like Fulham, they'll come up with a goal and assist. But if you from the outside probably think Bruno and Rashford are our two best players, but if you watch them all game, they do about one thing out of 25 that's good, and then the rest of the things are shocking. I mean, it's low quality at times, and it's why our attack looks so poor at times. They just get the ball. Rashford runs into blind alleys. Bruno boots it anywhere and everywhere, and then they do one thing, and it ends in a goal or assist, and everyone forgets all the shit that they've done. I just can't understand it. It's just poor quality. They need to simplify their game in these sort of games, because like they get we're just losing the ball way too much, and then you move Pogba in centrally, and what happens? We start playing liquid football and completely tear Tottenham apart. So I think Ollie's built his team around the wrong two players, in my opinion. But as you know, I'm not a fan of Ollie.
I do agree with what you're saying. I think Bruno needs to be more simplistic with how he's playing. I think he's been brilliant for this. There's no doubt in that. But I don't think Rashford is the type of player you build around. But the problem I have with it is Pogba. So I'm guessing you're switching Pogba in terms of who to build the team around. You're switching Pogba for Bruno and Martial for Rashford, right? Like in terms of building the team around.
Yeah, because they're better on the ball.
That's fine. That's fine. But what I would say is, I think Pogba is the ideal player. If you look at his raw talent, like his ability, of course, you would be dumb not to build your team around him. But that performance against Tottenham, we do not see that often enough, especially in big games. But yesterday, I'll give him all credit. I couldn't catch the game. I was doing fucking assignments, but I'm going to take the word. I've seen little clips of him, and I've seen the extended highlights and stuff like that. I thought he was brilliant. But we need to see more of that, and that's why I think Ollie's chose Bruno, because obviously Pogba more so has had the injuries as well. I think that's a bigger factor. It's the injuries that's really hampered him in the last couple of years. But I do think you're right. But to what you think, if you were listening to what Charlie was saying there, United actually won the game. So, Luke, On the win itself, deserved, wasn't it? I think the second half performance, you just outclassed them.
Yeah, I think we were much better in Spurs in the second half. I think we were poor in the first half. But I just don't understand why it has to take us to go 1-0 down to actually
Yeah,
start
that's the
start playing some attacking football. I mean, we're actually a very good team when we actually start playing some attacking, fast-paced football. But I don't think Ollie really wants to do that most of the time. Like, why can't we just start the game like that and just obliterate them, and then that's it, it's over. Then we can start playing defensively because it's over. But like,
I do see the frustration definitely, and like I think it happens too often. I think, look, I think that will come to hurt you again. I think you're still obviously that win. For United was definitely, even though you have been winning games, it's definitely a better performance than what we've seen. You've been I've watched you a few times recent weeks, and you've been very boring to watch. Like obviously I enjoy United losing, but like you're borderline. Even when you're losing, you're borderline just like an eyesore at times. Like I just feel that's the remaining questions over Ollie's head. Is just like, where's the pattern of play? Where's the style? And I know you and Charlie have been outspoken on that, so we won't go into it too much. Connor, before we wrap up this game, Tottenham, looks like top 4 race is done for them. I don't want to talk about Mourinho again. So we've talked about it for the last couple of weeks. We know what needs to happen. We know where he needs to improve himself. But on the players themselves, I think that was disappointing. I think they beat them 6-1 to start the season, and then that it is very disappointing from a Tottenham fan perspective to see that, especially in the second half.
Yeah, I think the players don't look at it anymore. Harry Kane, I think he'll be moving on now in the summer. He's given everything to Tottenham to try and make them succeed. I actually feel sorry for him. He's one of the best strikers the Premier League has seen. And he has to put up with players on his team like Matt Doherty. We've gone through them before. Tottenham have about 3 or 4 players in the team there that actually try and are consistently put in a shift. They're, I think, 6 off the top 4. So I mean, that's gone for them.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry that they're not beating City in the cup final. There's not a hope of that happening. And then they got dumped out of the Europa. So I mean, if you're a Tottenham fan,
it's looking bleak.
It's looking very bleak. I mean, they still have the rest of the games they have. I'm looking here. They have Everton, they have Leeds, they have Southampton, Wolves, Aston Villa, Leicester. Like, I mean, if I'm looking at those games, they're tough games. They're difficult games for them to be playing. I think top 4 is gone. I think Harry Kane will move on. I mean, a club like Tottenham, they need to be winning trophies. Obviously, we know that they're mean at this point about not winning trophies, but that Europa League competition, they need to be doing better in that.
That was so poor. Because looking at who's left, obviously United, the rest of the teams are shit. So
yeah,
especially
the manner that they went out as well.
Yeah, that was down to the players. I think Mourinho gets a lot of blame. That was 100% down to the players.
I'm not blaming Mourinho for this. As I said, I think the players are mostly at fault for it because they are spineless. They are spineless. I think Højbjerg,
Kane's son, and Ndombele are the only serious ones.
Yeah, they're literally the 4 players that consistently show up for it. I mean, Kane wasn't great at all against United. And I mean, he'll be moving on.
I think he's a fair play to him. He's been playing the Champions League, world class striker and all that. But before we finish up Champions League, just going to do quick predictions to the 4 games. So Tuesday, PSG, Bayern Munich. I'm going PSG. I'm going Dortmund to go through. I'm going Chelsea. And I'm going Liverpool. And we're winning number 7. Connor.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'll probably go with PSG as well. I can't see them getting beaten, especially with the away goals they have now. I can't see them getting beaten by that much. Sorry. I'm going to go with City to go through as well. I don't want them to go through.
That's fine. Sorry.
Chelsea will probably go through as well.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's going on about the Liverpool-Madrid match, saying we don't have a chance. I mean, we were
Look.
3-0 down. We were 3-0 down against Barcelona.
Yeah.
We didn't even have an away goal. We still managed to win.
Yeah.
Now I know
think-
we had our best team back then.
and the
But
fans.
if you look at the players that Madrid are missing now, they've Carvajal out,
Yeah.
Varane,
Vasquez.
Ramos. They've
Vasquez had a good game against us in the first leg.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't see how anyone can't see Firmino bagging a brace and us winning 2-0 and going through.
All right.
I don't see anything else
I
happening.
agree. No, I agree. Look, I agree. Right, Charlie, quickly run through them.
Madrid, because if you watch them against Barca,
You're so boring. All right,
they're not gonna concede 2 or 3, and they're gonna score. Chelsea, City, and Bayern.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Right, you got 3 out of 4 on. So, but that's fine. That's fine. We'll talk about that after Wednesday. Luke.
I think I might be the same as Charlie. I think Bayern will go through.
Well, that's enough for
Madrid,
today.
City, and Chelsea.
All right, fair. Look, to be honest, I think the odds probably seem you're right, but that's boring. United are in the Europa League. Just to confirm, they're playing on Thursday against Granada. Just to confirm, the Europa League, and they're playing on Thursday nights. Thanks everyone for watching. Subscribe, like, share. Just 150 subscribers. We're so close. Subscribe. Send your nan if you need to. Get her subscribed. Get her to make 4 accounts. Thanks again for watching. A huge week of football coming up, and see you then.